Recording. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly Life Rituals meeting. My name is Forrest. Great to have you. The date today, January 30th, 2018. And today is going to be epic. It's going to be epic as always. This one here, it's kind of a mind-blowing conversation. It's one of those things that's going to get you to think a lot and ask yourself some questions. And, you know, it kind of, this topic can get you to second guess, like, do I really have control over my life? How much control over my life do I really have? And that's a good thing. If you're thinking about those things, if it's creating more questions than answers, then we're going in the right direction. So I'm going to get into sharing my screen right here. So just let me know if you can see it once it pops up here. And give me a thumbs up if you could see the screen. Awesome, awesome. All right, great. And since it's a smaller group today, what we can do is if you guys have any questions along the way, just raise your hand, type it in the chat box, or say, hey, Forrest, I got a question, and we'll get right to it, okay? You can also mute yourself, so if you have a lot of background noise, go ahead and hit the mute button. That's fine too. So the weekly epic meetup. So every single week we meet on daily rituals, mindset, strategies, tips and techniques, things that you can practice and put into application right away. Remember, it's not just how much we know, but it's how much we know and then apply and then integrate into our lives, right? There's a lot of people that are very knowledgeable that are not integrating into their life. So that's the whole concept here. Every week, we do a weekly training, how-to video, healthy habits. Sometimes we have guests, but we always do a live Q&A, and I'm excited to hear your guys' feedback on the live Q&A tonight. So you can chime in. We have Eva Chung chiming in right now. What's up, Eva? Thanks for making it. So today's training is going to be the topic, reclaiming your free will to create the life that you choose. Okay? So reclaiming your free will to create the life that you choose. And if you look at this picture here, what does it show? It shows this picture of like this beautiful field, beautiful open space sky. And in any other type of picture, this would look very much like a picture of freedom and expansiveness and, you know, no, just pure opportunity. But you see she's leaning up against this barbed wire fence, right? And that barbed wire fence represents that even though you may feel or have the illusion sometimes that you're very free to do what you choose, to do what you choose in each moment and every day, it's not always so, right? We have these invisible walls, these invisible fences that can be around us, and this will kind of open our awareness to that. One of the oldest questions in psychology and in other fields like philosophy is whether humans have free will or not. That is, are we able to choose what we will do with our lives? And Sigmund Freud believed the subconscious mind governs our human behavior more than most people suspect. So there's some type of governance happening in the underlying of unconscious, the subconscious mind. If we truly have free will, then do you agree that through the thoughts that we think and the actions that we take, that we can create our own lives exactly as we design? All right, so think about that question for a moment. The thoughts that we think, the actions that we take, can we create our own lives by design? Do we have the power to do that? If you really believe that, wouldn't you constantly be tracking your thoughts, not letting a single negative thought slip through the cracks of your awareness? Wouldn't you be practicing visualization and repeating thought patterns that empowered you, that had you live into the person you wanted to become, so that you have the level of experiences, relationships, wealth, and abundance that you want in your life? So let's start really simply, right? I want you guys to choose a mug, okay? I want you to choose a mug. Any mug you'd like, any mug you'd like. All right, we got 6 different mugs here. We got the Gemini mug, we got the Pitbull mug, we got the Star Wars Rebel mug, we got the Alice in Wonderland, We're All Mad Here, the Cheshire Cat mug. We got coffee, because anger management is too expensive. And then you have as many hours in a day as Beyonce. It's pretty deep. So which one did you choose and why? Okay, let's start with Kathy. Which one did you choose and why?
I picked the pit bull one because it's pretty, and I think that pit bulls get the short end of the stick, and they're awesome dogs.
Awesome. Very good. Rose, which one and why?
Chose the rebel.
The rebel. Why'd you pick it?
Because you always have the power to choose and change what you want to do, and sometimes you have to rebel to do that. That doesn't mean it's not in a bad way, but
right,
you have to rebel against yourself to make change or to create change.
The power of the rebel. I love it. Eva, how about you? Which one would you pick?
Hi, sorry, I had to unmute myself. You know, these are all really great mugs, Forrest. I really like a lot of them.
Yeah.
I have started to buy a lot of T-shirts with sayings on them now, and coffee mugs and so forth that just speak to me more.
Cool.
And it's good that I'm collecting pictures instead now, but they take up a little less room. But honestly, I lean to a lot of these, but I think the one that says "We're all mad here" is pretty awesome. Not just because I love Disney, but it just reminds me that everyone is broken. Everyone has a journey. Everyone is trying to figure their way out, and it's a crazy mess that we have to figure out.
So very good, very good. I'm gonna stop you right there. So each of you guys picked a different mug for a completely different reason. And did you know right away? I mean, you guys just glanced at it and chose, and you guys all knew why you had picked it, right? And what I want you to think about is how much choice did you have really in choosing that? Like, was it predetermined? I mean, one thing to know is that your subconscious mind is 6 seconds ahead of your conscious mind. 6 seconds ahead. That's why, I don't know if you ever had the experience of going into the freezer, grabbing out a Ben & Jerry's ice cream, starting to eat it, and then going, holy shit, what am I doing? Right? If you've ever been in the middle of doing something that you knew you weren't supposed to do or you didn't want to do, and then you caught yourself in the act, but then you kept doing it anyways because you're like, oh, screw it, might as well just keep going. That's the subconscious mind is 6 seconds ahead. When you chose a mug just now, chances are your subconscious mind took in all the information, and through different strategies and reasons that were already buried into belief systems in your mind, you chose a mug, right? Kathy loves pit bulls right away. Oh, I love pit bulls. I'm choosing that, right? Rose, something struck a chord with, the rebel, the mindset of the rebel. And so she was able to immediately resonate. And then Eva, we're all mad here, and it just speaks to the fact that we all have that piece of us in common, that chaos in common. So think about that. How much free will did you have to make that choice? Was it already predetermined? Okay, I'll leave that up to you to think about. So do you think you have free will? How much freedom of choice do you really have? I love this quote by Isaac Bashevis Singer. He says, "We must believe in free will. We have no choice." See the amazing irony in that statement. Let us now inspect our free will, our power to choose, a little bit more closely. This study right here shows the relationship between family income and kids in extracurricular activities. Kids of higher income parents are more likely to be in extracurricular activities. If parents are making less than $30,000 a year, and then they have it's 59. Let's see, percentage. Yeah, so it's 59%. It's parents making between 30,000 and 74,000. It's 69%, and parents that are making upwards of 75,000 a year, it's 84%. Right, so done the same thing with volunteer work, taking lessons in music, dance, or art, participating in an organization like the Scouts. As the income goes up, you'll see that the participation with their kids is going up. The correlation is interesting, but the biggest thing that interests me is how much free will did these parents have? Is it just that they had lacked opportunity, or they lacked the ability to choose just because of the money? Were more doors shut down just because of the money? Because some kids were able to do it, right? So one of the things that happened to me in college when I took a psychology class was I had the psychology teacher show us something similar, but it was a graph that showed, if your parents are making X amount of dollars, then you're most likely to just make this much money as an adult. And when I saw that, it made me angry. It made me completely furious because I did not want to believe that my destiny was in the hands of a statistic. You know what I mean? A statistic. I wanted to believe that my destiny was in my own hands. This graph right here, this shows the relationship between family income and the income of children. So it's something similar to this that tipped me off, right? So it shows that the mean child household income on the left in the thousands, so the average child household income, and then underneath on the bottom, the parent household income, the thousands. So if the parents are making upwards of 100,000, then the kids' averages are way more likely to be higher, right? And so how much power do we have over something just as simple as our own finances, right? Are we born into that? Do we have the power of choice? Can we make moves in our life that are not statistical, but can we do things from our own choice, our own free will? Here's something interesting. According to the Social Security Administration, if you take 100 people and follow them for 40 years through their working career, one of them will be wealthy. 4 of them will be financially secure. 5 will continue working not because they want to, but because they have to. 36 will be dead, and 54 are broke and dependent on family, friends, and the government. Okay? So letting this soak in for a second, wow, right? I wish it was flipped. It should be, 54 should be financially secure, but 54 are broke and dependent on family, friends, and government. How much choice did they have in that matter? Are they just a statistic? How much control over their lives did they have over that? 36 people dead, okay? If you think about it, maybe, 3 to 5 people committed suicide, 5 to 10 died of an accident, and then the rest died because of poor health, probably, onset of stress leading to disease, because 9 out of every 11 people in the hospital right now are there because of a stress-related illness. I don't know if that statistic is still true, but it was 5 years ago. So think about that. How much control do these people have over their lives? How much choice do they really have over their health, in their career, in their finances, in their ability to create wealth, in self-sabotaging to the point of being broke and dependent on others? And so think about that, how that reflects to you. How much choice do you really have in all those areas of your life? Here's the difference. Without free will, your choices have already been decided for you. You're trapped in your past. You relive the past over and over. You're not really able to create your life. You are living like an automated robot. You have a predetermined destiny. With free will, you're free to choose. You can decide which direction you want to go. At any moment, you can change. You can become your best self. You can create wealth, relationships, stability, adventure, whatever it is you choose. And you become the author of your own destiny. I want you to meet Dr. Joe Dispenza. This guy is incredible. Have you guys seen the movie What the Bleep Do We Know? Put that on your list of movies you gotta watch. What the Bleep Do We Know? It's a game changer. It'll really expand your understanding of the human body, the human emotion, what's possible, the correlation between stress and health, or stress and disease, and optimism and health, the correlation between your finances, your relationships, and your belief patterns and systems. So check that movie out. Joe Dispenza, several books. He's a New York Times bestselling author. His latest book I just bought is called Becoming Supernatural. I highly recommend it. It's amazing. He also wrote Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One. That's such a bold title. And then he wrote, "You are the placebo, making your mind matter." Really interesting stuff. A lot of groundbreaking work he does. Dr. Dispenza says, and these are direct quotes, and I wanted to kind of, I just couldn't possibly like formulate my own words to match his power in what he was saying. So I wanted to quote him directly on a lot of this stuff. So let me read some of these. If you can repeat anything over and over again, it becomes a habit. You embody, pay attention to that word, embody the skill. You've practiced it so many times, you don't even have to think about it. Imagine taking spiritual, philosophical, scientific principles about possibility, about creating the life that you want, about healing from certain diseases or conditions, and understanding that you can signal new genes and rewire your brain. Your personality creates your personal reality. Common people just like you and I are doing the seemingly impossible with this type of knowledge. They're healing themselves. They're creating wealth, traveling the world, mastering relationship, and designing incredible freedom into their lives. Dr. Dispenza says, you are more powerful than you know, and I agree fully. You don't have to be a Buddhist monk. You don't have to follow a religious doctrine. You don't have to meditate for 40,000 hours. Once you understand how all this works, and we can demystify and give you proper instruction, and you can create the skill set to embody this information and apply it to your life. As human beings, we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. 90% of those thoughts are the same as the day before. I mean, think about that. We're recycling the same thoughts, right? The same thoughts will always lead to the same choices. The same choices will always lead to the same behavior. The same behavior will always create the same experiences. The same experiences will always produce the same emotions. And the same emotions then go back to driving our very same thoughts. So it's an ongoing pattern. Our biology, our neurocircuitry, our neurochemistry, our neurohormones, and even our genetic expressions stays exactly equal to how you think, how you act, and how you feel. How you think, how you act, and how you feel create your personality. Your personality, once again, creates your personal reality. So if you want to change your reality, your personal reality, your personality, you'll have to begin to change your personality by thinking about what you've been thinking about, right? I'll say that again. By thinking about what you've been thinking about. So if anyone's done mindset training with me and done the bound nature, that's what that is, that 3 usual suspects. That's thinking about what you've been thinking about. And then changing, and then begin to become conscious of your unconscious behaviors and then modify them. So, and then look at your emotions that keep you connected to past experiences and decide if those emotions belong in your future, right? Really just decide, do you want to have those in your future, those patterns of emotions? So Dr. Dispenza also says, and the picture here is a picture of the synaptic gaps, the neural network that's inside of your brain. So most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. We literally have to become someone else. There's a principle in neuroscience that says, thoughts that fire together, wire together. Over time, you literally hardwire your thoughts and behaviors into the same finite pattern, a signature pattern that ultimately becomes your identity. So that most people, by the time they're 35 years old, become a set of memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, unconscious attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions that function like a subconscious computer program. 95% of who you are by the time you're 35 years old is a memorized state of being in which you've done something so many times that your body is now doing it better than your brain. You may say that you can't remember a PIN number or a phone number, or can't remember how to spell a word. But as soon as you go to write that word, your body remembers, and you could write it down. When you go to the PIN pad at the ATM, or when you go to the phone to punch in that phone number that you forgot, your finger will hit the right sequence because your body remembers, right? It's like riding a bike, right? Your body will remember. So what does that mean? It means you've practiced something so many times, your body knows it better than your brain does. That's where 95% of who we are exists. So here's the part that's important. Whenever you learn something new, whenever you begin to think about what you learned, you're causing your brain to fire in new sequences and new patterns and in new combinations. Whenever you make the brain work differently, you're changing your mind, because mind is the brain in action. So we can say then that new thoughts should lead to new choices, and new choices should lead to new behaviors should lead to new experiences, and new experiences should lead to new emotions, and new emotions should create new thoughts. And that's called evolution. So here's the difficulty. The process of change then requires you becoming conscious of your unconscious self. On one side, here's your old self. On the other side, here's your new self. Let's just say that over a period of time that you've become unconsciously addicted to emotionally to suffering, let's just say, okay? And all of your thoughts are equal to those emotional states, and all of your behaviors are also equal to that emotion. And you think the same thoughts every day, and you demonstrate the same behaviors by complaining and blaming and making excuses for yourself. And those emotions of suffering lead to guilt and feeling bad, and you no longer want to get up and do anything because you become uninspired. And all of a sudden, you become conscious that you're in that state. So now you decide in that moment that you're no longer going to think the same way. You're no longer going to act the same way. You're no longer going to feel the same way. And so you've drawn a line in the sand, basically. So the first 2 hours, they go by and everything goes really well. Now remember, you've conditioned the body to become the mind of that victim or the mind of suffering. So now all of a sudden, as you begin to interrupt that chemical continuity between your brain and your body, the body starts sending signals back to the brain. And all of a sudden you start to hear little voices in your head, chatter, that says, why don't you start tomorrow? Or this is uncomfortable. Or this doesn't really feel right. Or it's my mother's fault that I'm this way. Or I'll never change. And that's the body trying to unseat the mind and return back to its familiar state. Remember, you can be in misery and be completely content with that because it's familiar, right? The hardest part about change is not making the same choices you did the day before, right? It's like Kathy and her daughter Ashlyn have just been thrust into this brand new program, Overflow. They've got mindset training, they've got nutrition, they got to prep their meals, they got to show up for their workouts, they got weight training. There are all these things that are happening at once, right? And so they're going to feel uncomfortable at times. It's going to come up, and that's part of the process. That's the comfort zone. So what I say is, once you hit the comfort zone, and Bob Proctor, he's an amazing guy, he calls it the terror barrier, right? And it really is that. It's like this fear barrier that you meet up against, and you can either overcome that and create a higher level of you, or when you hit that comfort zone, that terror barrier, you hit it and it becomes a ceiling. But really it's a glass ceiling. You can shatter it. So going from the old self to the new self is the biological, neurological, genetic death to the old self. The best way to create your future is to create it, not in the known, but in the unknown. So in the mystery, right? This is where you get to live in the mystery. Dr. Dispenza also says, if you were to close your eyes and begin to think about how you were going to act, the mere act of mentally rehearsing who you're going to be begins to install the neurological circuits in your brain to look like the experience has already occurred. Now, what that means is that the brain is primed in its circuitry to no longer be living in the past, but now living in the future, right? Just a quick side note is your entire body regenerates itself. And it's a lot faster than they thought it originally was in school. Everything from your organs to your eyeballs, your brain, even your bones constantly are in regeneration. You know, your skin, things like that regenerate a lot faster. But even in a year, you are about 85 to 90% completely new. All your cells are completely new. So how is it that we're able to pass down disease if we're new? Like, if we have, a cancer, or if we have, autoimmune disease, how is it that we're passing that forward? A lot of it has to do with that we're living in the past. We're maintaining the same circuitry, the same karma. We're bringing it into the present moment by our past emotional addictions, our emotion addictions and our thought addictions. So back to what Dr. Dispenza says, what if you said, how would greatness live today? Or what would be the greatest expression of myself? Or can I teach my body emotionally what the future could feel like now? So those are very powerful questions. And if you were able to cultivate the emotional state ahead of the actual experience, the emotion then that you're creating of wealth, the emotion you're creating of leadership, the emotion that you're creating of patience, the emotion that you're creating of a new relationship and love, now means that your body, as the unconscious mind, does not know the difference between the actual experience in your life that creates an emotion and an emotion that you can create by thought alone. I was talking to a girl who was looking for love for a long time, and finally she got to this headspace where it was like body, mind, and spirit all together. She felt complete love for herself, and she completely dropped the need to, or the feeling of lack, like she was missing somebody or something. Right then, at that point, she met the man of her dreams. And they've been together for 3 years, an amazing relationship. But she was able to let go before she was able to find that. So here's the question. Can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about it enough times in your mind that your brain has literally changed to look like the experience has already occurred? The latest research in neuroscience says that you can change your brain just by thinking differently. So this is the free will. This is the power of choice. This is really understanding how to regain your control back in your life, is by understanding that to escape from the bondage of past thoughts and emotions and to create a new future self of your design, you do that through meditation, visualization, affirmations, a strategy of implementation, all these things that we're going over week by week with the daily rituals. That's what we do here, right? Dr. Dispenza leaves us with this. The most difficult part is to make time to do it. I'll say that again. The most difficult part is to make time to do it. Take it past philosophy and integrate it into your life. Now, which mug do you choose? Thank you guys so very much. We're going to open up the Q&A. We'll be posting the replay on the Facebook page. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. So what we do at the end of this, Kathy and Rosemarie, is everyone just chimes in and says, what was their biggest takeaway? Something that they learned that piqued your interest, something that you learned that piqued your interest, or something that you feel like you'd like to incorporate into your life, or just something that you never thought about before. What was your takeaway today? And let's have Kathy. You want to go first?
Not really.
We went over a lot just now. Anything stand out to you?
So for me, my biggest challenge is always like, I feel like I'm a perpetual learner and then I don't put things into action. So just implementing, is big for me.
Yes. And that's so great. We got to start somewhere. Learning is awesome. It can be inspiring to learn. You can gain new knowledge, and then, because you don't know what you don't know. And as you're collecting, different books and audio tapes and little gold nuggets start to seep into your subconscious. You take little actions, right? You've been taking action, or else you wouldn't have signed up for Overflow. You know what I mean? So that's an action that correlated with your past decisions of taking small little actions. But it is true that, and Eckhart Tolle says it really well, is, you could become what's called a sign collector, right? You're collecting all these books, and they all point like signs to different directions that you should go, but then you're just collecting signs and not actually taking the walk. So definitely I encourage you to take the walk, put the time into yourself. And like Dr. Joe Dispenza says, that's the hardest part, is carving out the time, but you can do it. So excellent. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Excellent. Rosemarie, your turn. What's your takeaway today?
Still processing a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think, I've worked with you for a few years now. So, I mean, you've know the gist of what I've been going through personally. But I think a lot of it, especially new for me, this is the last time I've worked with you, like the 6-week period,
Yeah.
is visualizing what you want to see in yourself.
Mhm.
And the big thing, I think with the meditation, you'd given me about 5 things to be thankful for. And then one of them is like something you wanted to see in the future was the hip hop fest, was the dance fest I was in November. And
Nice.
visualizing that it was going to be kick-ass and great, and it was amazing. So I think that is still something I'm still trying to implement, especially for this year, because it started off pretty rough, being a little sick, and
Yeah.
I'm still adjusting to my job and the dance company, but I'm reminding myself to keep visualizing those types of positive things, or visualizing the person that I want to be
Mhm.
in every moment I can be. So still a work in progress, for sure.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah. Always a work in progress, but that's cool to see, like, something that you wrote down on the gratitude list that hadn't occurred
Yeah.
yet. And then to knock it out, to actually do it and create that reality. What you did right there is you closed a loop. You closed a loop in your mind. And the more you do that in little ways and in big ways, right? And I would say the little ways are even more important. That's why at the end of each night, we say, count your 3 wins. So important. Write down at the end of each night, what are 3 things that you did that are wins for you, right? Celebrations for you, right? And it could be something so small as in, I drank my gallon of water today, or, I got in my workout today, or, I wrote in my journal today. Those are wins. And so when we close the loop on those wins, those small wins, it just builds confidence. It builds, I would like to say it builds self-esteem, but self-esteem isn't really something you build. A lot of people say that you have to build your self-esteem, but everyone already is born with self-esteem. It just gets covered up.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is, through the process of shedding the layers, then our self-esteem can shine through again. And so all of that, the little wins, the big wins, starting to see that they're closed loops, that is what creates continual confidence. And it gets you to evolve and grow, and you keep pushing the boundaries. And what used to be a little bubble like this ends up growing and growing and growing until you just see so many possibilities. You feel limitless, and you start to live inside what's called living in the unknown, living in the mystery, right? That's when life is exciting. You don't know what's happening day to day. You're free will. You have the power of choice, and you're not making choices based on all your past decisions, right? You may have had somebody burn you in the past, and therefore it can really, damage your trust, your ability to trust, right? Like, who here has had a relationship where they've been lied to or cheated on, or, something, right? I think
It's
all of us,
terrible. Ugh.
right? Yeah. And so what happens is that creates an emotional scar. And now in future relationships, we're bringing that past experience in with us. Is that fair to you? Is that fair to your new partner? No, definitely not. And then you'll start to kind of like superimpose those past influences to your new experiences. And when you start to do that on a regular basis, the more you do that, now you're literally living in like an automaton robot. You see how that creates a lack of choice for you. So the only way to shed that is to go deep into peeling back the layers. And that's why we do so much bound nature journaling. That's why we do so much affirmations, visualization, meditation, all the combination of those. This guy, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he takes people in for 4 days, these 4-day workshops. And he actually has them create in 4 days new belief patterns. They actually measure all different things like heart rate coherence. They measure, they do brain scans on the people that go to his workshops. And they can actually see literally changes in just 4 days of their actual brain. And they come away permanently evolved from the experience, right? And so you have the power to do this over time, is to change your brain, change how you're hardwired, and create the self that you want to become instead of the self that your past conditioned to be. So very cool, Rose. Thank you. Hope I wasn't too long-winded, but thank you, Rose. So great to have you.
You're awesome, man.
Yes, you're awesome. Eva, what was your takeaway? Eva's hiding in the shadows.
Oh, sorry, Forrest. I tried to change the lighting in here to, yeah, I'm a little ghost right now. I hope it's not too scary. Anyways, my takeaway is like this really spoke to me on a couple levels, and it just, our brain is hardwired in our thoughts, and saying that we think the same things 90%, like what I think today is easily 90% of what I thought yesterday, easily.
Yeah.
And we definitely, I mean, it's the old adage of like, to go at the same problem the same way and expect a different result is insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really tough if like 90% of my thoughts today is the same I had the day yesterday, the day before, the day before that, the day before that. I am really stuck in a loop then. And that I'm, someone did tell me at one point in time, when you're thinking these terrible thoughts of like, why do you cheat on me? Why do you have to do this? Why this? Why that? I'm traumatizing myself over and over and over again. And I was listening to this TED Talk the other day about habits. How do we create habits, right? Well, the more that we do something, the more it becomes us. It becomes our character, it becomes our habits. And, I've been putting off going to bed early several times. I'm like, this year I'm going to do it. I'm really going to go to bed early. And then last night, sure enough, I was up at 1 o'clock in the morning and I was like, damn it, I missed my window. And I was like, and I still didn't go to bed. And it's just terrible. I mean, honestly, I need to visualize and understand and think about why that's important to me to go to bed early. And then I really need to like have it as a future win and hardwire my brain into actually going to bed early and making that a real habit instead of continuing the bad habit. I'm just continuing a bad habit I know is really bad for me. And it is comfortable. It is easy. It is easier to go, well, I'm relaxing. I'm trying to get this piece of work done. I get work done very well late at night. All those silly reasonings. But if I had actually gotten a real night's sleep, I probably would have gotten it done better during the day, in less hours. I just kind of tell myself, well, the day is for me to work on other stuff for other people. At night, no one bothers me, but honestly, the hours I'm pulling right now, it's not doing anybody a lick of good the way I'm doing it.
So to make the change, the first 7 to 10 days are always going to be the hardest.
Yep.
That's why, having somebody to keep you accountable can really help. Tell the world, here's what I'm going to do. Even post it on Facebook and say, here's what I'm going to do. Keep me accountable, world. And once you get past that first 7 to 10 days, then the next, week or two, it's less painful, but it's still not integrated yet. So it takes another about 2 weeks after that. And then you hit a point where it's like if you started jogging every day. The first 7 to 10 days, like, oh my God, it's like hell getting out and putting on the jogging shoes and talking yourself into it and getting out the door.
Yep.
But then, the next couple weeks after that first 7 to 10 days, it's still hard, but you're kind of doing it. And then you get to this point where it's almost like you can't not do it, where like it just pulls you. Instead of you pushing, it pulls you. And that's when you get into like the habit. And they say that habit, it takes 21 days. Actually, the latest science and research says it's more like 66 days.
Oh man.
Of repeating something. So, the more you do it over time, and that's why you always got to come back to the why. Why are you doing it, right? Why would you practice life rituals? Why would you do mindset? Why would you do nutrition? Why would you exercise? If you have strong why in place, you write down clarity. What are your intentions? What are your goals? Where do you want your life to go? Now you're living by direction. You're living by design. And that's why I have a lot of respect for you guys that are here putting in the work to work on yourself. Because what that says to me is, first, you're saying my life matters, right? I matter and I'm worth it.
Yep.
That's a statement that you're making to yourself just by working on yourself in any aspect, whether it's this call or any kind of self-development work you do. You're telling yourself, I love myself and I'm worth it every time. And then by doing that, you're feeding into the life of those that are closest to you, the people in your family, the people that are your close friends, the people in your close inner circle at work. That's who you're able to give back to. And that's really what creates a ripple effect of change in the world. You know, they say if you want to change the world, change yourself. And that's what you guys are doing. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this tonight. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Forrest.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. And next week, come through again. We're going to have another epic meeting. Bring a friend. You can invite somebody in and they can check it out as well. And if you have any other questions or comments, private message me, reach out to me, and I'll help you out, whatever you guys need, okay?
Well,
Thank you.
well, thanks, Forrest.
Awesome, Rosemarie. Good to see you on here.
Yes.
All right, Kathy, thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Eva.
My internet pooped out.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for logging back in. Bye, Kathy. Bye, Eva. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Eva, awesome wisdom. Thank you so much. We'll see you later.
Thank you, Forrest.
Thank you.